to be made. Ms. Amandine Roche is going to lead us in some meditation. So just something fun while we're waiting for the projector to work. So if you guys could please welcome Ms. Amandine Roche.
Okay, I think we will do the meditation afterward because it's working now.
Thank you so much for being patient with us. Good afternoon. My name is Shelby Lemons, and I'm this year's Director of Operations. Our next speaker, Ms. Amandine Roche, is an author of 4 books, a filmmaker, photographer, and peace builder. After her experiences with the Taliban 11 years ago in Afghanistan, Ms. Roche decided to commit her life's work to building peace in the region. Ms. Roche has worked to establish the Amandine Foundation and the Sola Yoga program, both of which promote the message of nonviolence in Afghanistan. The Sola Yoga project specifically teaches yoga and meditation methods of healing to school children, street kids, police officers, soldiers, and Afghan detainees. Ms. Roche's peace-building efforts specifically focus on peace education, media awareness, human rights, gender equality, and youth empowerment. She has worked internationally for over 10 years as a peace-building consultant with several United Nations branches, the European Commission, and the National Democratic Institute in Asia, Europe, and South America. She holds a master's in international relations, an LM in political science, and a master's in human rights and international humanitarian law. Let's give a warm welcome to Ms. Amandine Roche.
Thank you. Well, I feel very honored and blessed to be with all of you today, and for the last couple of days. I feel that this place is very blessed, this place is very peaceful, and you are peaceful. Even I was talking to Shelby and I was thinking, what can I tell you to inspire you, to empower you, because you are really the source of inspiration for the last couple of days. So just quickly, I just wanted to thank Shelby, Amy, Shannon, Kathleen, and all this beautiful army of angels who organized with such professionalism this amazing peace-building conference. Because, yeah, and in Principia College, I mean, even I was thinking, why should I speak about peace in this place? Because this place is really it's paradise on earth. You really manage to live in harmony. And each of you, look at your eyes. I mean, your shining eyes, and so beautiful. You are such an awakened human being, and it's just like, thank you for who you are, and thank you for radiating your light. But I came here, and they asked me to speak about my experience. And my experience has been a long journey, which brought me to Afghanistan. But everything starts in life with an inspiration. And the man who really inspired me is this man. Maybe you recognize him. His name is Dalai Lama. And Dalai Lama came to my university when I was 18. And I was not prepared. I didn't know so much about this guy. He just received a Peace Nobel Laureate prize. And he came to my university. I was a small student. I was 18. I was a student in law. And he came to my university and he spoke about Tibet, violation of human rights, and he described us all the civilian casualties, atrocity, and I was so shocked. And I said, you know what? I found my way. I'm going to study human rights, and I'm going to fight for human rights, and I'm going to join United Nations just for this. And I went to his place in India, in Dharamsala, the Tibetan government in exile. And I wrote my political science thesis on the violation of Tibet. Afterward, I decided to join UNICEF to work on education because I do believe in the power of education for peace. And I found an internship at the beginning in Central Asia. And actually, it was very, very uplifting, very inspiring. Why? Because we were working at this time in a refugee camp. It was in Tajikistan, at the Tajik border, where it was in 2000, so 12 years ago already. I was 25. Yeah. And what happened is, at this time, all the Taliban came on the north of Afghanistan, and during the night came with Kalashnikov to kill everybody. So the poor population had to flee, and they didn't know where to go. And the closest country was Tajikistan. So they took the chickens, they took the kids, they took some wheat in the pocket, and they flee. But the Tajik government was so scared of Taliban invasion that finally they decided to put some Russian tank at the border to do not allow any Afghan refugees to come in Tajikistan. So the poor refugees were blocked between the Russian tank, the Kalashnikov of the Taliban, and they have to cross a river. And the river was with two islands. One of these islands was full of landmines, and it was winter. So this poor, it was like 60 refugees, I remember, yeah. And this guy is one of them. And I put his picture because he's also the one who inspired me. I will tell you why. So this poor refugee, in order to protect themselves from the bullet of the Taliban, they have to dig a hole and just live like foxes, you know, like they were living like that. And my boss, my UNICEF boss, said, well, you have a camera, we need to help them, we need to bring some tents, some blankets, some food. Come with your camera and we are going to do a donor appeal. And when I read on the paper the description of the situation, I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to hell. I'm going to hell, maybe I'm going to die. So I remember I called my mom and said goodbye in case. And we went, and I went on paradise. Why? Because of Afghans. This guy is a teacher. And this guy, what he did, he cut all the trees and he made a school. So when we came, he was teaching Farsi to all the kids. He was aware enough to flee with just a book of diary. And the women, they took the mud, and with the mud, they make a oven. And with the wheat from the pocket, they make amazing naan bread. And to thanks us, to help them, they offer us all the bread they prepare. I say, no, I just cannot accept, this is too much. And they say, no, if you refuse it, it's an offense. So I took a piece of naan, and it was the most succulent, crusty naan I never eat in my life. And I'm so overwhelmed with people because this is the most peaceful and amazing people I never met in my life. Very generous, they have nothing, they give you everything. Very humble, very hospitable, very tolerant, compassionate. And I say to my boss, you know what? I'm going to take holidays and I want to go to Afghanistan. I want to know more about this country. For me, it was wire. I never imagined people can be so peaceful and so nice. I said, okay, fine, take you 1 week. So I applied, I went to see Commander Massoud, he gave me a visa, and I applied for a UN flight. But the Russian pilot said, I don't want to go back. Look at my plane, it's full of bullets from Taliban. I'm so scared, I'm going back. So I tried to go by road. I didn't have the Russian authorization to cross the border. And finally, I tried to go with Massoud in his copter. And my boss said, you're completely crazy. Don't go with him, because we're going to war. So I said, okay, thank you, goodbye. I quit my job, I took my backpack, and I decided to go. And I went completely wild because it was, imagine working for United Nations, very, very, structured organization, and just going by my backpack. It was in June 2001. So I went by foot, by road, by hitchhiking, by camel, and everything, just living with people. In Kyrgyzstan, in China, in Pakistan. And end of August 2001, so this is, I say goodbye, I say, I'm going. And end of August 2001, I arrived in Islamabad and I meet the head of the French Alliance. And he said, what do you do? I say, I'm going to Afghanistan. He said, you're completely nuts, you're completely crazy, don't go now, because they just kidnapped 3 international from Shelton are international, and they want to hang them because they were making proselytism, selling the Bible under the burqa. Even don't try now, it's too dangerous. And I say, you are not the one to tell me I'm not going. I tried 3 times before, I want to go. And say, well, I like your determination, let me help you. So he was kind enough to introduce me to the son of the Taliban from Kabul. And the guy said, what do you want to do? I say, I want to visit your amazing country. And he said, okay, good. What's your name? And I gave him my passport. And he looked at my name and he said, are you Amandine Roche? And I say, no, I'm Amandine Roche. Amandine Roche, asked it means, you are Amandine Roche? And I say, what does that mean? He said, Amandine Roche means, you are the happy protector of peace. I say, what? No. He said, why your parents give you this name? I say, no, it's a French name. No, you know what? Allah send you to Afghanistan, you will become a Merman, honor guest of Afghanistan. Wow. So, the director of the French Alliance said, it's amazing, I want to go with you. So he talked to the Taliban and said, I want to accompany my niece, he pretended to be my uncle, because we always need a male relationship. So, he finally gave a visa to this guy. And finally, September 10, 2001, we arrived in Kabul by car. Do you feel that? So we arrived in Kabul, so we crossed all the mountains from Islamabad, Peshawar, Jalalabad, and we arrived finally in Kabul. We arrived in Kabul and it was bombing. Why? Because they killed Massoud. And so I never lived under bombing like that. I was a bit surprised. And finally, I say, let's go to the north, because I want to discover this country. I went on the footsteps of a Swiss adventurer. Her name is Ella Maya. And what happened? So we crossed all this beautiful landscape. Let me get, I need to take some water. So, such a beautiful and peaceful country, not like you can see in the video. So finally we arrived in the north of Afghanistan, and I took a small radio and I just got in live George Bush saying, after the prayer for the World Trade Center victim, now we are going to bomb Afghanistan. And I started to freak out. I said, oh my gosh. So everybody evacuated, but my friend with whom I was running wanted to see a water pump he financed in the north of the country, and he said, we are not going now. Okay. So everybody evacuated, and finally we remained in Afghanistan like single tourists. But when we finally arrived on the north of Afghanistan, I finally listened on my radio, and they say, now they are going to close the border in order to stop the flow of refugees in Pakistan. So I really freaked out and I said to my friend, now it's time to go to Pakistan because American bombing and we are stuck in Afghanistan, let's go. So this is the kind of woman we met and amazing people. So we finally decided to go back to Pakistan. And in Pakistan, the border was closed. So we have to go by foot 5 miles because there was tons of refugees, future refugees, who wanted to go to Pakistan. And I said to my friend, okay, let's ask the Pakistani to open the border because we need to go out. And I don't tell you because at this time my family was so scared. I didn't have access to internet. I didn't have access to any mobile or whatever. So she was super scared. And I finally asked the Pakistani border open the border. And say, we are so sorry, we cannot. You have to ask first the Taliban to open the border. So we went to see the Taliban, said, please open the border, and say, give me your passport. And he said, we are not going to open the border because your French president is going to bomb Afghanistan with George Bush. So they detained us. I said, no, I'm Mermon, I'm an anarchist. You are not anymore an anarchist. It was before September 11. And so what happened is, I start to play with this small girl. I put this picture because I don't have a picture of the girl with whom I was playing. I start to play with her and I just start to pray God and I say, no, this is not possible. How can I be kidnapped by Taliban? I was first invited by Taliban. And I pray God, and finally my friend, after one day, he came back to me and he said, jump in the car right now, we are released. And so what happened? He said, there is one Taliban who jumped on the landmine. We need to cut his leg, and he has to go to Peshawar in Pakistan. And we need, and Pakistani were kind enough, they didn't want to open the border because they were asking where they release us. And the Taliban, of course, wanted a ransom from us, and finally, they decided to exchange us. 3 Taliban, 2 French, they decided to open the border, open the border during the night, which is very dangerous because there is fighting in this struggle zone. So finally, we are released. So I jump in my car, and this small girl, she jumped on me, and she put a nail in my arm, and she looked at me, she said, Peshawar, Peshawar, Peshawar. She wanted I help her, she wanted I save her from the American bombing. So I didn't think, I took her in my car. And what happened? My friend turned back, he said, what are you doing with this girl? I said, well, she wants to go to Pakistan like everybody. He said, yes, but what do you do after? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't think about that. She's just like, emergency, American bombing coming. And he said, but she cannot. Maybe she's got family. What are you going to do? So I look at her and say, I'm so sorry, I cannot. I cannot. So she went out. Imagine the scene, they opened the border like that. Thousands of refugees pushing, going, and I turn and say goodbye to her, and she's crying. And she's crying, and she broke my heart completely. Why? Because for 1 week, at 4 o'clock morning, I wake up every night with a nightmare. She came and she said, why you didn't take me? Why you didn't help me? And at the end, I say, oh, is this too much? Is too much nightmare? And I wrote a letter to her without knowing where to send it, and I say, I'm so sorry. I couldn't help you, I couldn't adopt you, but I promise I will come back. And I promise to work for peace in your country. And this is what happened, and this is where I am 11 years after. So I finished my long trip, I have to go back to France, I wrote a book, I published the book, and I gave conference. And with my friend, we came back by car. And we came back, Paris to Kabul by car. And I joined the United Nations of Peacekeeping. And for 2 years, I became the head of a civic education program, explaining about human rights, explaining about democracy. This is my team of coaches, analphabet nomads, Pashtun. So together we made amazing work explaining the women's rights and trying to convince all the population that they need to vote, and this is a new regime. So we were doing door-to-door campaign everywhere, explaining the equality of men and women. All the women can go outside, be part of the public life, have the right to vote. So we organized thousands of meetings with mullahs, with president, with minister, with kids, all the population, explaining what democracy is. So it was at the golden age. It was in 2003, 2004. Because if you ask an Afghan now what democracy is, they will tell you corruption, unfortunately. So we went on the top of mountain, explaining to the Kuchis, this guy is the head of Kuchis, nomads, what is democracy, and they should take a registration card in order to vote. And they were so happy because they never received any identity. So we gave them an identity, kind of. And we proceeded at the registration. So we asked all the population to come to the center and take a registration card and take a picture of a woman. A lot of them didn't want to take off the burqa. They said, please, we need to see you, to recognize you on the picture. And afterwards, they were so proud to finally give them an identity, especially the women, which love. See some of them, yeah. Some of them refuse to have their pictures, so you don't have any picture on the registration card. And finally, the idea arrived, and it was amazing. Why? Because 51% of the women show up. We were so overwhelmed, because finally they understood the message. Yes, they can go to vote. Despite the fact that we tell them there will be some kamikazes, suicide bomber, with fake burqa and bombing under the burqa, they say, we don't care, we go and we vote, even if we die. So beautiful. Long queue of women. And it was October 2004. And all of them came to vote from all over the country. Even in Bamyan, in the center, full of snow, they crossed the snow for hours to go to vote because they believed it at this time. And you see how difficult it was, because Afghanistan is a mountainous country, which means these donkeys took like 3-4 days to carry the ballot box for the counting. And you see, have to cut to make the counting. And this is at the counting. And what happened here, after 2 years of intensive work, finally, Hamid Karzai won. And some people didn't like the fact that Karzai became president. And they accused us to have done some favoritism for Karzai. And at the end, they kidnapped 3 of my colleagues in front of my office. I was the first one part of the counting. United Nations told me, they want to kidnap you as well, go out. So I've been evacuated. And when I arrived in France, I was, sorry, not now. When I arrived in France, I was so burned out, so tired, so exhausted. And I realized afterward I was victim of post-traumatic stress disorder. I didn't know how to deal with all my suffering, all my pain. My publisher came to me and said, why not you write a book, it can help you to heal. So I said, okay, in 3 months I give you a book, which was too much. And my belly started to become like 6 months pregnant. I went to see the doctor, and he said, it's a stomach cancer, you have a beginning. I was so shocked, I was not 30 years old, and I said, what I'm doing to myself. And I said, I don't want any chemotherapy, I have to find another way to heal myself. And I met an Indian doctor, Ayurvedic doctor, for 3 months. Just massaged my stomach with oil, and he gave me some herbs. Every day when he was massaging me, he was doing like that. Where have you been? This is folder of cannon. This is kidnapping. This is Amibia, I had Amibia. Where have you been? What did you do to yourself? I say, well, I was in Afghanistan. Say, you're crazy, you don't know how to protect yourself. You are taking like all the suffering like a sponge. You should learn how to protect yourself. I say, fine, but what to do to protect myself? He said, you need to meditate. You need to reconnect with God. You need to pray. Heal yourself first. You cannot give if you don't first love yourself. I say, oh, yeah, he's right. I cannot go back to Afghanistan like that. I'm just collapsing. I'm just like my soul left. So finally I say, you know what? I'm going back to India. I'm going back to see the one who inspired me first. I'm going back to see Dalai Lama. And I moved all my stuff. I rent a small house in front of Dalai Lama temple. And I went every day to Dalai Lama teachings. I went to yoga class. I went to meditation class, trying to bring back my soul within myself. And it was so beautiful. It was full of light. It was such a wisdom. Dalai Lama was saying, you cannot work on outer peace if you don't work on inner peace. Inner peace first. First be the one who incarnates peace, with the values of peace, generosity, compassion, tolerance. And I realized who I am to work for United Nations peacekeeping if I'm not a peaceful person, if I'm not an apostle of peace. And I realized a lot of my colleagues were not peaceful at all. They were in career, they were in competition, in hatred, jealousy, and I say, okay, maybe it's time for me to learn meditation. So I went in 10 days meditation retreat, where you don't read, you don't write, you don't have any eye contact, where you just sit 11 hours in meditation, total silence. You wake up at 4 o'clock, you have 1 minute per day, and of course it's very tough, but I need some extreme experience to really make a shift. And on this small caution, I think it was after the 9th day, finally I got it. Finally I understand how to catch the monkey mind who drives everybody crazy. Because it's always in the past, always in the future. Never here and now, but here and now is real peace. And here and now is real happiness. But you need to learn how to control your mental in order to become the creator of your life, in order to reconnect with your inner self, with your God inside, with your inner voice, with your soul, in order to shut up the mental and just to wake up and listen this. And finally I got it. Finally, after the 9th day, finally I feel so peaceful. I really touched my inner peace. And I was jumping on my cushion and I said, I got it. This is what I want for Afghanistan. These small girls, I promised to her I will work for peace in her country. And now this is the real peace I want to bring to this country. I remember after the 10 days, they came to me and said, now you can go out. I didn't want to go out. I was so peaceful. It's like, you know, you're diving to the abyss and you don't want to go out. So I said, no, I don't want to go. She said, no, you go. Okay, so I went back to Afghanistan and I said to everybody, now we meditate. Now we have to do some inner peacekeeping instead of outer peacekeeping. Who we are to bring outer peace if we are not incarnation of peace. People were laughing, of course. So yeah, you want to bring Hinduism, you want to bring Buddhism, this is what you want to do in Afghanistan, you are completely crazy. So no, I'm not talking about Shiva, Ganesh, or whatever, or Buddha, I'm talking about the monkey mind. And so at the beginning I said, maybe I don't do it because everybody say we're very reticent. So I came back and I become the head of the South region of Afghanistan, regional analyst for NDI, National Democratic Institute. And it was parliamentary election, and all the Taliban were coming in my office complaining about the electoral campaign. And I was very surprised because I say, you Taliban want to become Democrat? You want to have a seat at the parliament? I said, yes, why not? And finally he said, yes. So this guy is Commander Rockety. Rockety Y is the best launcher of rocket. And during the Mujahideen time. And we became friends. Because I said, you know what, if I manage to shift this guy, I can manage to shift all of Afghanistan. So I talked to him, and he was the best friend of Mullah Omar bin Laden, Taliban, and we became friends. It was quite amazing meeting because he came first to complain about the corruption, the fraud. And I managed to talk to him about non-violence. I said, now you want to become Democrat, why not you try non-violence? I said, yes, why not? And he said, yeah, but what my friend will think about me, because, you know, everybody knows me like the best launcher of rocket. So you will become the commander non-rockety. What do you think about that? And he said, yeah, why not? And finally, I start with him meditation class. And he loved it. He loved it so much that he decided to invite me in his house and ask me to do the same for his kids. And I said, you know what? I've got it now. This is really what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a foundation to promote the culture of peace and non-violence in Afghanistan. And I was looking for a name, and I said, how can I call my foundation? And one Afghan came to me and said, you call it Amandine Foundation, because this is who you are, and this is your name. So I said, okay. And I met Cameron, this Iranian teacher, and together we create the Solar Yoga. Solar Yoga means solar, it's peace in Pashto and Dari, and yoga is unity of mind and body. So I say, you know, I do it with Taliban, but I want to do it as well with international troops to see how to cool down, to avoid the post-traumatic stress disorder. And I teach non-violence to all these kids in school, or yoga with girls. And yoga as well. And now I want to show you a small video about our program, Solar Yoga. Yeah, I think it's okay. So So like a guy like that, he gives you really an idea of what we are doing right now in Afghanistan in order to work on the healing. This morning he was talking about meditation and healing. Thank you for that. This is exactly what we need. Because we are not aware 30 years of war. You cannot ask them to do whatever. They are just suffering of post-traumatic stress disorder. They are all anxious, depressed, and mental health issue. All the women are smoking opium. They don't know how to deal with the depression. So this is a kind of healing exercise we are doing. Yes, good, thank you.
Starting next month, we will be able to remove 10,000 of our troops from Afghanistan by the end of this year, and we will bring home a total of 33,000 troops by next summer, fully recovering the surge I announced at West Point. After this initial reduction, our troops will continue coming home at a steady pace as Afghan security forces move into the lead. Our mission will change from combat to support. By 2014, this process of transition will be complete, and the Afghan people will be responsible for their own security.
Everybody is burned out in the country. Everybody wants to save this country.
People are just like so concerned, or so engrossed in just like surviving.
The Afghan government is presented with the task of redeveloping its country after many decades of violence. What if there was a way for Afghans to create peace throughout the country without defense strategies and armed conflict?
When I tell people back, some of my friends and people back home that I was coming here, maybe going to some jails, and they love the idea of the street kids, but not so much the jail, because I feel like people are so close-minded.
We are in 2011. In 2014, all the international troops will go out of this country.
The Solar Yoga Project seeks to teach Afghan citizens how to practice the ancient techniques of yoga and meditation. As disciplines of peace and well-being, these methods will help to create a more harmonious environment.
I'm teaching around Afghanistan, yoga and meditation, and not too many people know about it.
They actually do the meditation itself, and it's the best way to basically change ideals. I think part of it is, like sort of incentivizing it, and then they would know if it helps or not.
With all these detainees from Guantanamo, or criminal, or suicide bomber attack, one day they will go out and discover how to deal with the enemy within. They will repeat. They will take the weapon again and they will kill again.
He got granted permission to go to a jail outside of Kabul because I was born in Iran. I can speak the language. yoga یه چیزیه که حرکتیه که میریم پایین و بالا میایم و بدن باز میکنیم که بعدا میتونیم راحت بشینیم.
رفیق کامران نام داره انشالله این جلسات رو دیر میشه ما دوستا بسیار میکنم
خیلی ممنون.
نفس کم.
یعنی اجازه بده که شما به زندانیا این چیزا پیش بری بسیار خوب است.
میگه چرا میگه؟
به خاطر اینکه زندانی همیشه در چرت دفتر می باشه، بیچاره دیگه وظیفه نداره. بیرون شرط دادن چطور ایده شام چطور قید من بشین، یعنی این مسئله که شما درس میدین باشه بسیار فایده بدین.
65% of the population are under 25 years old, which means we have to prepare the future Afghanistan. We have to prepare the new generation to be peaceful.
ما امروز کمی یوگا با مدیتیشن یوگا بدن باز میکنه.
شاگردای ما که اصلا تمامشون شاگردای اطفال و کارکار میسرک هستن. ما کار میدیم در مستر خانه است و دستان رزمی. برای کافریت برابری.
We aim to reintegrate displaced reintroduce Afghan youth back into society, as well as to help international soldiers prepare for their return home. The sustainability of this project lies in Afghans learning how to teach these methods to future generations.
Do you think we could bring peace in Afghanistan, teaching meditation to Afghans?
Yeah, surely.
Solar yoga exists because of a belief that peace in Afghanistan is possible.
Yes for yoga! Yes for yoga!
Yes, yoga!
Yes, yoga!
Questions. If you have one, please stand, and Ash will bring you a microphone.
So yes for yoga. Yeah, I'm welcoming any question if you have some. Yes.
Can I just project? Is that okay? Oh. Thank you for your comments and for sharing your story. I think something that stood out to me from several of the speakers is just how simple this peace building can be, just either through yoga or just that sense of trust and following the universal law of love. But I'm wondering what type of resistance you run into trying to introduce yoga to Afghanistan.
Well, I will tell you it's microphone. I do believe in what I was doing, and the fact, I guess, I'm a little bit in advance in what I'm doing, in the sense like when I go and meet some donors and explain that. For instance, my French ambassador told me it's very refreshing. Fine. Another one will tell me, we don't know which line of budget we can put this kind of program. Other will tell me, you know what, we are leaving Afghanistan, we don't want to invest in the program. Other will tell me what, yeah, we don't have, maybe you need to reframe your program in order to, so this is what I was explaining yesterday with Emmanuel. This kind of program, it's a peacebuilding program, is a conflict prevention program, and I call it mental health program. But you know what, mental health is not a priority in Afghanistan, and education is not a priority in Afghanistan. And I was not able to find a single penny so far, so we are volunteering, everybody is volunteering for this program. And now I'm writing a book because I don't want to have a stomach cancer again, but I'm full of rage and full of anger because the money is going in war in Afghanistan, $1.2 billion per month in the American war, but not a single penny, single $1 million for education. So thank you for asking the question, it's very difficult. Any other question?
It was so inspiring to hear you, and I pray that you will be healed, that you continue with no cancer. What it is, though, in terms of your being a French woman, do you see that as a great advantage compared to someone who would be coming as a U.S. citizen in this situation?
Well, you know, they don't make a difference. I'm foreigner, so I'm a foreigner, no matter from where. I'm French, European, or American. For them, it's the same. They don't make the difference. I mean, now I left like a few days ago, Kabul. I live in Kabul, and it's very tense. You follow in the news what happened in Kandahar, where this soldier, victim of post-traumatic stress disorder, go out and kill 16 civilians. So now they want to kill each foreigner. They don't matter. They're not going to ask, give me your passport, I check your nationality. You are a foreigner, so simple as that. So the atmosphere is very heavy now. Because they are just tired, they want all the troops to go out. Even when you ask the population, like let's say 2 months ago, they say, well, we are not sure, but now I think even the population is very tired of international invasion in Afghanistan. So no difference. Well, the fact I'm a woman, you know, Afghan, should I say, yeah, they like women in the sense like they really respect me. I told you, Amandine, when I came, I always I speak Farsi a little bit. And I say, Amandine, salam alaikum, huvasti shorasti jane jorasat hubas. Amandine Roche astam. When I say Amandine Roche astam, they stop and say, okay, she's part of us. In the sense like, is respect, I speak Farsi, and Amandine Roche is an Afghan name, you see? So they say, what's wrong? Okay, she's Afghan. Even they don't think, like they see inside, they don't see outside. Well, you need to respect them, so always take my wear, I have large, I cannot wear this kind of dress, I have large, yeah, where you don't see inside, and that's fine. They respect you like that. One question?
Thank you for your talk. I wonder if the U.S. pulled out, are there any indigenous peace-building groups in Afghanistan, or do you see the Taliban just taking over again? And what is your forecast for the country? It has such a heartbreaking history of war. They almost know nothing else. And just, I wondered if there was a note of hope from your experience. I know you're discouraged, but just wondered if there were any resources there in the country, the people themselves, obviously, but I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I'm very optimistic by nature, and I can see hope in the new generation. Like I say, 65% of the population is under 25, which means I've got a lot of hope in the new generation for sure. They are just amazing. And I will tell you something, they were born in war. And they don't want war anymore. They don't know what peace means, but they know they don't want war. So the goal now is to empower the new generation and just to give them power of expression. And I'm quite sure after 2014, if Taliban go back to power, they will just say no, no. They don't want to take any weapons, they don't want. They are very peaceful new generation, like you, like such an inspiration. And so I don't think it will be so dramatic. Now we are fighting with a group of international women in Kabul. We were fighting because Karzai put on his website 2 weeks ago ulema decision wrote recently about the fact that women are secondary. Women cannot go outside without a mahram. You can beat your wife. So we protest. So what are you doing now? You're a president. You ratify the Constitution, Article 22, where it's written equality men and women, and now you're saying that. So we won. He withdrew the ulema statement, and we spoke with the advisor, and actually it's because he's scared of after 2014. He's quite sure he will be killed. So in order to prepare the future, we start to sympathize with Taliban. Oh, you always have good sympathy with Taliban. So yeah, I'm not Nostradamus, I'm not clairvoyant, I don't know, I cannot tell you. But what I see, maybe in 20 years, there will be peace. Because of the new generation, once again. They are so peaceful, they are just amazing, amazing. They don't want war anymore. So if the mullah, after the mosque, preach, say now you go and you take your Kalashnikov and you go and kill, they will say no, thank you very much, but no. Because we know. I mean, we have English, Russian, Mujahideen, Taliban, American. No, enough is enough. But for that, we need money to empower the youth, for sure. And the women. Women are half of the population, so they cannot remain in their house and just to prepare the meal for kids. No, 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 all of them should take part. This is what was beautiful, what I show you. 2003, we've managed to motivate them to go on. Now you ask a woman, or go on, say, well, democracy is only corruption. Afghanistan is the second country most corrupt in the world, after Somalia. It's very sad. Billions of dollars have been given to Afghanistan and went directly to the pocket of ministers and corrupt folks.
Question.
I have a
This will
question.
be our last question. Go ahead.
I always take the last one. I was just wondering, I'm taking a music class, and we're studying kind of like the music in Afghanistan, and I became very passionate about it. It's really inspiring in a way, like the musicians there. But during the Taliban regime, they prohibited music, like any type of art expression, and like destroyed tape cassettes or anything. Like it wasn't allowed to have any concerts there. But I was wondering if you see music today in the streets there, is there any like concerts? Like how is like the art expression there?
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking this question, because even Taliban, they love music. I don't know, it's just amazing. What a paradox. They just love music. And recently a friend of mine organized an amazing orchestra with street kids and Afghan women. And so they play Bolero of Ravel. It's amazing, you cannot imagine. Last year they played the Fourth Season of Vivaldi, and it was so beautiful. And yes, they love music, and a lot of foreigners, another friend of mine organized last year a rock festival. So there's a lot of underground rock group in Afghanistan as well. And inshallah there will be more music performance. But no, not in the street, they don't play in the street. No. You know, in the street nobody goes to the street. I cannot go to the street. Like I'm so happy, I feel so free to run morning here in the wood, and just cannot do that. Just cannot. But I mean, because first I'm a woman, international woman, and nobody runs in the street. So it's like, and I can be inappropriate, so I'm not going to do that. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. What I wanted to say is because what I discovered in India was such a, well, it's what you learn here, I mean, science, Christian, is like the kingdom of God is within you. And go deep within yourself, and you will find your light, and you will find your mission on earth. And once you find your truth, irradiate your light. So simple as that. Thank you.